I was winning six-figure amounts and I still couldn't stop. This one morning it was there. If Thursday morning, I remember 10 a.m, I checked my account, the money was there. I had £20,000. By the time I went to work at 2 p.m. that day, 4 hours later, gone. That one was 4 hours long, 4 hours long. I can only see this now I'm on the other side. So if you're still in the addiction, listen to me now, someone with 20 years experience of gambling addiction. There is no amount that you will ever stop at. Today, I want to talk about something different. 5 things nobody talks about with gambling addiction. I'm not talking about the surface level stuff that everybody talks about. I'm talking about the raw, deep, hard truths that nobody talks about. The stuff that goes on inside your mind and your heart when you're caught in the gambling addiction cycle. I'm talking about feeling completely isolated even when you're surrounded by people. The crushing shame that keeps you in silence. Becoming something you never thought you would just to hide it and keep going, keep the lie going. The money that you're gambling with, and even when that big win finally comes, why we end up going back for more. Just before we get into the video, if you've ever struggled with gambling or you know someone who has, get down in the comments below. Leave a comment, let us know about a way that you found the way out or something you're struggling with right now, and the addicted recovery community can come and help you. You are not alone. You are not the only person going through what you're going through. So get down in the comments, let us know what's going on. Maybe you can just start to break free. The first thing I want to talk about is feeling completely isolated. One of the hardest things about gambling addiction is feeling completely alone, feeling all by yourself, even when you're surrounded by hundreds of people, even when you're online, playing online where you know there's thousands of other people doing what you're doing right now. It's a strange kind of isolation, like you're trapped in your own head, like you think you're the only one who's going through this, like you feel nobody else gets what you're going through. But in reality, there is hundreds, thousands, millions of people who are struggling with the same thing you're struggling with right now. It's why you're here watching this video. People might see you smiling, but they don't know what's going on inside. That constant itch, that constant needing a bet, the shame when you lose, and then that silence, that awkward silence when you're finished, when you've done all your money in, and you start to feel like you're different, like you're broken, like you're the only one who is going through this. And that isolation fuels the addiction even further. It's a horrible cycle because you're too ashamed to tell anyone about it, so you end up going to gambling because you feel like gambling is the only thing that understands you. And in reality, gambling is the thing that's causing this isolation. Addiction thrives in secrecy. I want you to know, if you're in this right now and you're feeling isolated, you are not alone. You're not the only person going through this. Everyone gets caught up in it, but it doesn't have to stay that way. And then this brings me on to the second thing I want to talk about, the shame. The paralyzing shame that keeps everybody locked inside their addiction. Shame is a quiet prison. It's not just embarrassment, it's not just guilt, it's the voice inside that tells you you're worthless, you're weak, you've failed again. For a lot of gamblers, I know personally for me, the shame is what keeps us inside this addiction. It's what turns us into the lie. It's what makes us hide everything that we're doing, because it's too hard to tell someone. It's too hard to overcome that shame. That shame keeps us trapped. It's why we don't ask for help, and it's why we keep spiraling and the addiction just gets worse and worse. You're ashamed of the money that you've lost. You're ashamed of the lies that you've told, the web of lies that you continue to tell. You're ashamed of the people that you hurt, but most importantly, the most damaging one, you're ashamed of yourself. I know that was the case for me for 20 years in my addiction. That shame convinces you that no one will ever understand the damage I've done. No one will ever forgive me for what I've done. So you end up isolating yourself even more, which goes back into the first point, and these two things combine, and it just makes the addiction worse. But here's the truth that nobody tells you. The shame is a trap. It's part of the addiction. It keeps the addiction there. It's part of the addiction cycle that keeps you trapped, right? Breaking free from that shame, it's about being kinder to yourself, learning to forgive yourself, understanding that addiction isn't isn't failure, it's an illness, it's a disease. The real strength comes from facing up to that shame instead of hiding and running away from it. Now, when you're trapped in that shame, that isolation that we've spoke about, you end up becoming a person that you never thought you would. Third thing I want to talk about, you end up becoming a master liar and master manipulator. Now, I know there's going to be a lot of people that relate to this next sentence, but when you're in gambling addiction, lying, instead of it becoming something that you do occasionally, it becomes a survival skill. You lie to your family about the money that you've lost. You lie to your friends about why you can't hang out. And again, similar to point number 2, the worst part about it is you lie to yourself. You tell yourself, I'm completely in control of this gambling. When I win big, I'll stop. I'm just gonna have one more bet, one more small bet today, and then that's it. And we all know it can never finish at that one bet. Win or lose, personally for me, if I won, I'd want to win more. If I lost, I'd want that money back. There was no way I could stop. The only way I'd ever stop is when I'd lose all my money. And the lies, it just becomes exhausting. This web of lies that you've spun, that you've got to remember for when you talk to people the next time. You need to remember what lies you've told them. The people that you owe money to, you need to remember the lies that you've told them. And it's just the twist and the truth, the making excuses. You just become someone that you never thought you would. Like, I consider myself a very truthful person outside of my gambling addiction. But yeah, I became someone I didn't recognize. Whenever I needed to get more money, or I needed to get that next bet, or I needed to cover the mistakes that I'd made, I would just lie. If I needed to get more money, I'd just become the manipulator and I'd tell lies on what I'm doing with the money, or the certainty of what I was about to do, that I was about to increase the money. And I just felt if people knew the truth, that, again, back to point number 1 and 2, they just never forgive me. They just wouldn't understand. So I just keep up this web of lies until I finally hit it big, until I finally got that big win. Then I'd tell everyone, I'd come clean and I'd buy everybody's forgiveness. But that is exactly how the addiction isolates you. But the brutal reality, these lies create a double life. The one that the outside world sees and the one that the addiction controls. And there is just no space for me and my life, because I'm putting on this charade, this facade, to the world, and then my addiction is just controlling me in this other area, and there's just nowhere for me to go. And then the fourth thing I want to talk about, all of this happens and you start gambling with money that you cannot afford to lose. When you're addicted, when I was addicted, the line between what I could and couldn't afford to lose, before I'd go and gamble, it was so clear. There was such a line of where I was going to stop. The second I placed that first bet, my mind is just, it's like I'm under the influence of alcohol. I'm just not thinking rationally, I'm not thinking the same. And that line of what I can and can't afford to lose just disappears. You don't just gamble the spare cash, you don't just gamble with what you said you were going to go in there with. You will use rent money, you will use grocery shopping money, you'll use money that was for bills, sometimes even money that was meant for your kids. The addiction that talks to me in my own voice tells me this logic that even though I've lost this much, I just need to take this much from here and I'll play with that, I'll win the original money back, and then I'll put everything back where it's supposed to go. Even though I've just lost, the next time it'll be different. The addiction talks to me in my own voice and it tells me, just take that little bit more money, because the gambler's fallacy, I'm entitled to a win now. I've already invested this much, so I just need to invest a little bit more and I've got a bigger chance of winning the money than anybody else has. It's just crazy. And I didn't realize this during my addiction. I was only able to realize this afterwards. It was never about the money. That money was just buying me a little bit more. The word isn't entertainment. It was just feeding the addiction. It was buying me that rush, that anticipation of waiting for the wheel to land on the roulette wheel, waiting for the turn of card in blackjack. And that is one of the most dangerous parts of gambling addiction, that there's just no limit to the amount of damage. Whatever money I could get my hands on when I was gambling, I would gamble it. There was no line, nowhere I'd stop. The only time I'd stop gambling is when I'd lost everything. And then the last thing I want to talk about is what happens when that big win finally comes. I know my whole 20 years, I was just dreaming of that big win. It happened 4 to 5 times in my life, but that was what kept me going back again, because I knew it could happen. I knew it was possible to win that life-changing money. So I always just told myself, when I win that money, I'm just going to keep going. I'm just going to keep going until I get that big win, that life-changing money, and then I'll stop. Let me tell you what happens when we, compulsive gamblers, finally get that big win. Every one of us dreams of that big win. We're finally going to pay off all of our debts. We're going to pay everyone back. We're going to buy the nice house, buy the nice car, go on those holidays. That big win is going to set us free from our addiction. But here's the harsh reality. I'll tell you a story from personal experience. 19 years of age, I won £20,000, so that's 40,000 Australian dollars. At 19 years of age, I won that online on Betfair. I had a 12 straight colours the same. I was putting £1,000 a colour. £1,000 a colour each spin. I had 12 blacks on the run, and I had a good run after that and a little bit of a run before that. I had £20,000. I had the account from when I was 17 years old, so it took me a while to withdraw it. I had to jump through a few hoops to get it withdrawn, and then I ended up withdrawing it via PayPal. So it took like quite a few days to get into my account. So every morning I'd wake up, refresh balance, it's not there. This one morning it was there. If Thursday morning, I remember 10 a.m, I checked my account, the money was there. I was making £12,000 a year salary at 19 years of age, and I just won £20,000. I wasn't driving yet, so I was going to do a crash course, get all my driving stuff done. I was going to buy a new car. I was thinking of the cruise that I was going to take my girlfriend on. Just all of these thoughts, oh, finally, I was gambling from when I was 12, so I'd already been gambling 7 years at this point, and I was probably in the positive. I was in the black. I was actually up from gambling at that point in my life. And I was like, here we go. Everything's gonna stop now. I don't need to gamble anymore. I finally had that big life-changing win. So like I said, this was 10 a.m. By the time I went to work at 2 p.m. that day, 4 hours later, gone. The lot of it. All of it, gone. I'd given it all straight back on the exact same thing that I won it from. Betfair roulette. Like I said earlier, my mindset was, if I start with this much and I won this much, imagine if I start with this much, what I can turn it into. And that was what I thought. What can I turn this £20,000 into? There's no amount. I can only see this now I'm on the other side. So if you're still in the addiction, listen to me now, someone with 20 years experience of gambling addiction. There is no amount that you will ever stop at. Every time I hit new life-changing money, I'd just move the goalposts. I'd get that thrill and I'd get that satisfaction. It was so short-lived. That one was 4 hours long. 4 hours long, that satisfaction lasted me before I give it all back again. I realized it was never about the money. I needed that thrill. I needed that rush of the anticipation of waiting for the ball to land on the wheel, or whatever your game is, whatever your sports bet is. It's about the rush. It's about the thrill. It's not about the money. And when you do win that life-changing money, I then place a small bet. It just doesn't give me the thrill that winning that big money did. So I need to match that. I need to bet that much to get that thrill again. And that's the cycle. No matter how much I win, the next time I gamble, I want that same thrill that I got last time. So I'm going to up my bets. I'm going to do stupid, crazy amounts. And the law of averages, I'm eventually going to lose it. It happened every single time. I was winning 6-figure amounts for that last little run of my stint in 2021, and I still couldn't stop. It's a cycle that traps so many of us. The biggest win does not help us stop. It makes it worse, because we need to bet more to get that same satisfaction, to get that same thrill the next time we gamble. The real thrill is when you realize gambling is not about the money, and you can put it to one side. You can stop. You can cut your losses, stop now, and you can reclaim your life back. It's not about winning or losing. It's about stopping gambling for good. It's the only way to win. If any of this sounds familiar, I want you to know you are not alone and you are not broken. If you've came this far in the video, subscribe to the channel. There is so many amazing videos on this channel with content just like this one that can help you not only stop gambling, but help you stay stopped for good. Connection is the opposite to addiction, and I am building a community of like-minded people here. Hit that subscribe button. It's completely free. It doesn't cost you anything. If you're ready to stop, reach out to me in the comments below. Reach out to the Addicted Recovery community. Talk to someone, let someone know what's going on. Come out of that isolation, overpower that shame, stop the lies. There's no amount of money we will stop at. We gamble until we cannot get any more money. Thank you so much for watching. On the screen right now is Adam's gambling addiction story, who's now become a fellow podcaster, and he's sharing his story as well. It's a real emotional roller coaster. So please click that video and I will see you over there.